Hello, and welcome to another episode of the blogcast for ShawnVanDyke.com. I'm Shawn Van Dyke, and I'm a construction industry consultant, business coach, and mentor. Now, I wouldn't say that I'm your host because this isn't exactly a podcast. There are no guests, there's no high-dollar production, and absolutely no agenda. I just want to make it easy for you to get the information you need to run a better construction business. So every time I publish a blog post, I grab my microphone and record an audio version of the post so you can listen to the content anywhere, anytime, and use this information to run a better construction business. All right, with that said, let's dig into the blogcast. On today's episode, I'm finishing up the final article in a 4-part series on how to grow your construction business. In my previous articles for FineHomeBuilding.com, I discussed how to grow your construction business in sustainable and profitable ways by first understanding your margins and your markup, how to track your labor costs, and how and when to analyze the data for your construction business. So click on the links in the blog post and it'll take you to each of those different articles if you haven't already seen those. In this article, I'm going to show you a system for communicating with your employees and how to use this system to delegate responsibility and authority to your people. So what we're going to be talking about here is how to meet with your people. And I got to tell you, you aren't as good a communicator as you think you are. None of us are. And your team is starving for information, and you need to be meeting with them more often than you think. You know, there's an old marketing adage, it's called the Rule of 7, and it says your prospect needs to see or hear your message at least 7 times before they take action and buy from you. Well, the same thing applies to communicating with your team. If you want your team to consistently perform in a certain way, they need to hear the information and see examples again and again and again and again. The manner in which and the frequency at which you meet with your people will determine the level of clarity in which they can perform their duties. So see the tactics listed in this article on constructing clear communication with your employees. And there's a link in the blog post there to a previous article I wrote about communicating with your employees. Developing a meeting structure will ensure you're communicating with your company's content and intent at every level of the organization. The content is what information your people need to know in order to execute their jobs. And the intent is why this information is important. Communicating the content without intent is the difference between merely performing a job and living out a mission. And you need both. So in the blog post, I'm going to list the different types of meetings that you should be holding for a construction company. And there's a table in the blog post that shows these different types of meetings. And the table shows, number 1, the various types of meetings you should be having with your team, the frequency at which you should be meeting with them, and number 3, the action steps each meeting should produce. In the first column, it lists the meeting types and the people that should be involved in the meetings. The second column lists the agenda for each meeting type and the approximate time each of these meetings should last. You know, one of the main reasons people hate meetings and why most meetings are a waste of time is that meetings are too general or they try to cover too much information. So you need to create a specific goal for each meeting and limit the time. This will create focus and provide clarity. Now, the third column lists the frequency at which you should be holding these meetings, and the fourth column lists the action items that should be produced from each meeting type. Now, I'm just going to go over these meeting types and the agendas and the frequencies and the action items real quickly, but check out the blog post. There's a graphic there that you can click on and you can print off to get some more information about these. First of all, the huddle meeting. This is about a 5 to 10 minute meeting where you want to set the goals for the day. And this is typically led by your technical leads or a manager of your crews. So the meeting type, I call it, is just a huddle meeting. And the people that are in the attendance for this meeting are usually your leads and your crews. You want to hold this meeting daily or about every other day. And the action items that you can take away from a meeting like this are that every crew member needs to know the labor budget and the goals for the day. And you want to adjust the production based on the results of the previous day's huddle meeting. Now, the next meeting is a scheduling meeting, and your leads and your managers should attend this meeting. This scheduling meeting should last about 30 to 45 minutes, and you want to take a look back at the previous week and adjust the current week's schedule. You want to set the schedule for the next week and look ahead to upcoming milestones and projects. And again, this weekly scheduling meeting is held weekly, so the action items going forward in your weekly scheduling meeting, you want to adjust and set the schedule for the teams and assign resources to the projects. And most importantly, you want to update the physical schedule. You know, that thing you're supposed to be printing out or publishing to the team so they know exactly where they're supposed to be and what they're supposed to be doing. The next meeting I call a tactical meeting. And these tactical meetings are for leads, managers, and directors. The tactical meeting should last about 30 minutes, and each attendee puts one issue on the table to be solved. And each attendee gets about 60 seconds to explain that issue. Now, I would suggest that you hold your tactical meetings about every week as well. And they could follow the scheduling meeting since you got most of the same people there. The action items for the tactical meeting are that attendees vote on which issues can be solved in the meeting. Other issues are ranked in order of importance and assigned to a person to resolve or to report back the following week. Now, the next type of meeting is what I call a strategy meeting, and this is for your managers and directors. This should last about an hour or so, and you're going to discuss and resolve any recurring or tabled issues from the weekly tactical meetings, and you want to discuss the critical issues. So that's the agenda for the strategy meeting. Now, you can hold these strategy meetings more often, but I find a really good rhythm for these meetings is monthly, especially if you're already meeting in your tactical meetings every week. Then a strategy meeting, a little bit broader, and you're trying to solve some of those nagging problems that are laying around. Now, the action items that you want to walk away from a strategy meeting are you want to determine the root cause of any of those nagging tactical issues and develop a plan for solving them. You also want to publish the metrics and discuss proposed changes. The next type of meeting is a quarterly meeting, and your administrators, your managers, and your directors should be part of this meeting. This is probably going to be about a half a day, so maybe it's 3 to 4 or 5 hours, and you're going to review the metrics for the quarter and analyze your lead and your lag measures. And again, it's in the name, the frequency of this meeting is going to be about once a quarter. The action items for a quarterly meeting, you want to set the goals for the next quarter and any leadership gains needed for every team member. And what I mean by leadership gains is you want to make sure that you go through every person in the organization and talk about where they can increase their leadership, whether it's out in the field or in the office. And you want to tell these people where you expect them to be in the next quarter. And finally, the most important meeting of all is the yearly meeting. And this is going to involve your administration staff, your managers, and your directors, and possibly your crew members as well. This is probably going to be a full day meeting, and it's going to be off-site. And what you want to do is review the overall growth areas of the business. You want to review the mission and the vision of the company. And like it says in the name, it's a yearly meeting. It's held once a year. The action items in this meeting is that you want to cast a vision and establish a growth plan, and you want to review the budget and set the budget for the next year. When your team understands what is required of them and how to produce the intended results, who is responsible for producing these results, and why these results are important, then you, as the business owner, can delegate these responsibilities throughout the organization. Delegation of responsibilities to the lowest possible levels within an organization creates freedom for the construction business owner, clarity for the employees, and sustainable growth for the business. Growing your construction business in a sustainable manner requires discipline. The disciplines discussed in this series can be summarized as follows. Discipline number 1, the margins. Do you know your margins and your markup? Discipline number 2, the metrics. Do you know what you need to measure? Discipline number 3 are the methods. Do you know where you're going? And discipline number 4, the meetings. Do you know what to communicate? If you try to scale your construction business without establishing sustainable disciplines for growth, then you will also scale your problems. And nothing will kill your construction business faster than small problems that are allowed to grow. So be disciplined, be patient, be intentional, and over-communicate. If you want to learn more about how to implement the 4 slow growth disciplines that I've reviewed in this series for your construction business, then join me at JLC Live in New England, March 22nd through 24th in Providence, Rhode Island, where I'll be teaching these disciplines and other construction business topics. And there's a link in the blog post where you can get more information about JLC Live and how to register for the event. Need help streamlining your construction business? Sign up today to receive a free copy of the Paperwork Punch List, 28 Days to Streamline Your Construction Business. And this book is available exclusively for free at ShawnVanDyke.com/thepaperwork-punch-list. That's ShawnVanDyke.com, ShawnVanDyke.com/thepaperwork-punch-list. Hey, Shawn Van Dyke here. I just wanted to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen to this audio post. Email me any questions or comments you might have at my email address, which is connect@ShawnVanDyke.com. That's CONNECT @ShawnVanDyke.com. And let me know what you think. Thanks so much.